Hello, everyone. This is Bethelite here, and I've got a question for you. How many people can you legally put in one room, or even an apartment for that matter? How many people, let's say one bedroom apartment, let's say a two-bedroom apartment, how many people can you legally put in that room? And let's say you have uh, an organization like Bethel, and you're supposed to have high Christian standards. How many people do you think should be in a room to uphold, let's say, a peaceful, organized living arrangement? The reason why I bring it up is because I think that the 3 and 4 Bethelite rooms are a bit much because there are a number of things that I want to highlight. One is just for your own peace of mind. It is nice to have a second to be by yourself and be able to maybe have a prayer, maybe do a little personal study, something where you don't have people all around you making noise, doing all kinds of stuff. Now, I'm sure there's mothers out there that are thinking, well, yeah, I would love the same thing. Uh, and I totally understand that. But when you go into, let's say, some of these Bethel rooms, unless you're talking about a governing body member, in which case they may have an entire floor of a building to themselves. But I'm talking about regular Bethelite. Let's say you're going into some of these rooms. My room, you walk into the doorway, you open the door, and just you don't have to go anywhere. Open the door, stand there, and what you see when you open the door to the room is everything. What you see from the doorway is the entire room. That second, it's that small. It's almost like the size of someone's room in an apartment. Not necessarily the size of an apartment, but the size of someone's room in an apartment. Some of these rooms are that small. And not just, being able to, there's a manual called Dwelling Together in Unity. And how in the world are you supposed to be able to dwell together in unity when you got 3 other Bethelites all up on top of you all the time? Uh, there's a couple of incidents that I will highlight just to give you an idea of why I don't think this is a good idea to have that many Bethelites all in one room. There was a dispute, and this became a big argument where someone's belongings ended up being thrown out of a room. Now, when I say belongings, I don't mean just small things. As if that wasn't bad enough. You shouldn't get to the point where someone's grabbing someone else's belongings and literally hurling them down a hallway. But when a dresser is tossed out of a room, that's too much. That's beyond that normal average argument, which you can expect to have if you're in a room with 4 other people and you can't get away, to cool off, calm down, do anything. Uh, so someone's dresser was thrown, in addition to other things, out of a room. Of course, they're in trouble and they get talked to and everything else. And I don't know exactly uh, what happened to them after that. But no, that shouldn't happen. But should you have 4 people in a room? The closet space is cramped. You'll have a door that you can open, and a lot of times what you try to do is get everything in there before morning worship because you're not supposed to have anything out. But I think that they make exceptions for people that have like 4 people in one room because there's no place for them to put their things. They can't fit their things in the closet. So they allow them to go to morning worship without having to put everything up. Not, I don't think out of a kindness, but just because there's like physically no place for them to fit their belongings in there. That is just insane. It is insane. And there's another incident that I'll highlight, not just the disputes and the arguments that occurred because of that, but I one of my friends was coughing and sick, and I'm thinking, man, this guy is sick a lot. Like he's sick all the time. And one day I go to his room to uh, invite him to a gathering. My congregation was having a gathering, a little brunch, and I went to invite him. And I go to his room and I find out why he's sick. He's got three other guys in there, and at least two of them are just coughing and hacking away, and they're sick. And it's like, how are people supposed to remain healthy if you are crammed into a small space with three or four total people? And it's winter and people starting to get sick, people start to get viruses. There's no way you're not gonna catch it. There's no way you're not gonna catch it when you're that close to someone that's coughing and sneezing, and they've got the tissues and things like that. And I did not step foot in that room. Not because I didn't care about the people in there, but there were tissues everywhere. I mean, come on now. You got him sick and you got two of his roommates sick. So imagine tissues everywhere. You walk in there, you stepping over tissues. There's no, there was no way I was going to be able to go in that room in those conditions. And you think about it, and it's like, man, that kind of sounds like a third world country or something like that. Why would we be handing out manuals to each Bethelite, dwelling together in unity and cramming so many people in a room that you make that impossible to do, impossible to accomplish, regardless of what is written in that manual? How many people legally can they put in a room? Because I'm trying to think of what the equivalent of that would be in, let's say, a 2-bedroom apartment. Because let's say you got a small room with 4 Bethelites in that room. Well, I want to know, what is the equivalent in an average apartment where you got 2 rooms? It wouldn't be, because you could say, well, let's just double that and say that there's 8 people in a 2-bedroom apartment, which is a lot. But that's not the equivalent, because that room in Bethel is smaller than a 1-bedroom apartment. So to say a 2-bedroom means 8 would be the equivalent. No. I don't know. I'd say double that. Let's say 16 people in a 2-bedroom apartment would probably be the equivalent of 4 in a little small room space, or at least 12 in a 2-bedroom apartment. 12 people piled up all on top of each other. A Christian organization is going to do something like that, stack people up on top of each other. That's what you do when you're just trying to stack as many workers together as possible, and you're not really that concerned about their health or well-being. That's what you would do in that case. Because if I had a business and I wanted it to be clean and peaceful, and I wanted people to enjoy themselves, and of course work also. I'm not putting 4 people in a little room. I'm only doing that if I don't care. I'm doing that if I don't care about how your living conditions are. So, the instance where you have arguments, and then the instances where you have people getting sick, and there not being enough space in the room to put all your stuff. You got some of your stuff in storage. That's just you would think common sense. That's not going to work. But the people who are higher up, they've got plenty of room in their room, or they've got a whole floor to themselves. They're not concerned about that. And then what are you going to do? Call home and complain? Oh, Bethel, that's wonderful. Oh, Bethel is so nice. Oh, man, And of course, what you see when you go on tour is nice. But have you been on tour and seen 4 people in a room stacked up? 2 or 3 of them sick? No, you haven't seen that. That's not something that they want people to see, but it is a reality. And, comment down below. Let me know if you think that's legal to do. And I want to throw that whole, well, they're volunteering to do it, so why don't they just go home? They don't go home because of you don't believe you have a choice. If you think in your mind and heart, God wants you to do something, then no, it's not a choice in your mind to do it. Not only that, the family pressure and everything else. At the meetings, I would hear moms talking about their sons left Bethel. And of course, they don't tell you why, but they talk about it as if that was the dumbest thing, that, oh man, I could have just strangled him because he left Bethel. He finally gets in and he left Bethel. I see why they left Bethel. Who wants to live in those types of conditions? I guarantee you she wouldn't want to live in those conditions in which her son was living when he was at Bethel. So let me know what you think about this. Is it Christian to do something like that to people who are working for you and working for you for free, and you can't provide them adequate living conditions? Let me know what you think the equivalent of that is, to kind of give people an idea of what exactly something like that would be like. Because if you're thinking a regular apartment with 4 people in it, no, it's much, much, much smaller than that. So don't think, oh, well, 4 people in an apartment, oh, it's no big deal. No, it's more like 4 people in a room. Not a whole apartment. It's like 4 people in a room. And you might not have all 4. Let's say if you have meeting night on different nights. Let's say someone has meeting on Tuesday and you got meeting on Thursday. Well, on that Tuesday, whichever roommate or roommates have meeting that night, they wouldn't be there. So that'd be at least, one day where you didn't have it full of people. And I remember that. I remember thinking, oh man, I couldn't wait until, someone's meeting night, because on their meeting night, you'd have a little bit more space to yourself. They'd be going to their meeting, and you'd have at least that evening until they got back to kind of stretch out and breathe a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think that's deplorable. I don't think that people should be treated that way. I don't think that people should think an organization that is led by God would do something like that. And, I feel bad for people who, live years and years and years in those types of conditions. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. And definitely, if you got any legal knowledge, let me know if that's even legal to put however many people in a small living space as you want and pile them up. I wonder if prisons even do that. Thought just crossed my mind. I wonder if prisons even do that. And I'm sure there's overcrowding. But I wonder if there's any kind of regulation as to how many people you put in so much of a small space in a prison. You don't want to liken Bethel to prison, but again, if the shoe fits, if prisons are putting 4 people in small little rooms, and Bethel's doing the same thing, then the standards aren't that much different then if that's the case. So let me know. And this is ex Bethelite signing out.